patrol filled with amazing port calls and once-in-a-lifetime cases, including one drug seizure for the record books. The Coast Guard Cutter Sherman is on its way home from a patrol that's lasted more than 100 days. As it sails back to Alameda, California, her proud crew reflects on life aboard the cutter and the spectacular accomplishments completed throughout their time at sea.
We've actually been gone about 240 days out of the last 12 months. So it's a lot of underway time here recently, but it's good because that's, when you're out there is when you get the mission done.
Coast Guard Cutter Sherman is a fully operational long-range patrol vessel. Originally homeported in Boston, Massachusetts, and now in Alameda, California, the Sherman has proven throughout the years her capabilities and missions ranging from search and rescue to combat.
Our bedrock mission in the Coast Guard is search and rescue. We do drug interdiction, of course, and that's one of our primary missions while we're down here. We see that, quite frankly, as part of Homeland Security because we're trying to keep the drugs off the streets. The drugs, of course, fund terrorist activity in Colombia and in other parts of the world, and so we see a definite link there. The other thing that we do from time to time is migrant interdictions and fisheries enforcement as well.
Steady on course 312 checks, 295.
Life on board Sherman, series of ups and downs. It's either going really, really good or kind of rough. One day you'll be running down a drug runner, the next day you'll be pulling someone out of the water.
The Sherman crew experienced just that, from a record-breaking drug seizure to an amazing SAR case, which proved the Coast Guard's motto, Semper Paratus, holds true for this cutter.
We thought this trip was over, and me and my buddies were playing NCAA in the berthing area in our pajamas when they just turned this boat around going God knows how fast, and things are flying everywhere. I mean, they say secure for sea, and you really don't understand what that means until somebody does a left 30 degrees rudder.
The ship's sudden turn was to respond to a distress call from a woman on a sailboat. The woman's husband had fallen overboard in rough seas, prompting her frantic call for help.
We closed her as quickly as possible. Once we got on scene, it was extremely rough, but we were able to put our small boat in the water. She actually jumped inside because she was so, happy and ready to get off that sailing vessel just because of the way it was riding. They immediately brought her back on board. I went up to meet her as the ship turned about and started heading towards what we believed the last known position of her husband was. We launched our H-865 Charlie helicopter, and we determined where the most likely location of her husband would be. On the second leg of their search, they saw a raft, and they saw an arm sticking out of the raft.
When they came over the radio and said, we spot him waving his arms out of the life raft, it was like a big relief, and prayers were definitely answered. And just proves every day, I'm here for a reason.
I appreciate you being here. Appreciate the chance to.
With the knowledge that everything the couple owned was lost on their sailboat, the crew of the Sherman went one step further to help the people they had rescued. During a small ceremony on the cutter's deck, they presented the couple with a small collection to help ease their loss.
The ship and the crew of the Sherman pitched in for a cash donation to kind of help you guys get back on your feet. And we want to present that to you as well. It's a decent money roll for you. Ought to help you out a little bit. We really appreciate it.
You can never know what to expect, because once the operations start, you could be going for 24 to 36, even up to 72 hours with very little, if any, sleep, trying to make sure your operations go smoothly.
Being underway on the Sherman, definitely love the sunrises and sunsets. That's one of the joys of being underway.
More than anything, I enjoy being on the ocean, going out, whether it's during the day or at night, looking across a deep blue sea. Just the wonder of this is my office. Every day I go to work, that's what I get to experience.
So who's winning?
I'm on parole officer.
You got to put your hat on. You didn't bring your hat out here for no reason.
Meeting great friends, having good times, learning all the deck work, navigation is what I do, and it sets me up for success for my next units.
Success is not only found in the daily job on the bridge or the deck. The Cutter's operations officer took on the task of making sure the crew was learning in the classroom as well.
I'm an English instructor on board. It's a program that we started about a year ago. We termed it Sherman University. We're trying to find different ways to help people get their education. Most people who join the military join to get money so that they can go on to college, further their education, and I thought it would be a good idea to provide people with education on board.
The Sherman was the 6th of 12 378-foot high-endurance cutters built in the 1960s. Named for John Sherman, who spent a total of 37 years in Congress as a senator and representative from Ohio. During Vietnam, the Sherman was assigned to Squadron 3, where she was tasked to support Operation Market Time. The main responsibilities were to determine which of hundreds of small vessels were involved in weapons smuggling and providing naval gunfire support. Also, she conducted 10 medical civic action projects, treating over 11,000 Vietnamese civilians. After Vietnam, Sherman returned home to Boston, where her focus shifted to drug interdiction. And in 1976, with the seizure of the Panamanian freighter Don Emilio, the Sherman completed the largest drug seizure in history at that time. In 2007, the Sherman found itself again in the middle of the largest drug seizure to date in maritime history, with its successful interdiction of the motor vessel Gatun.
The motor vessel Gatun was a 330-foot Panamanian container ship spotted actually by a Coast Guard C-130 off the coast of Panama. The government of Panama, in fairly short order, gave us permission to go aboard the motor vessel. Once on board the motor vessel, the boarding team secured the crew, talked to the masters, and there was some apparent inconsistencies between what he said were the contents of the containers and what was on his manifest.
First getting on board, kind of nervous. You don't know the environment you're going into. You don't know how the crew is going to react to your presence. Once we came upon the narcotics, it was just sheer exhilaration.
Watching them through the camera and just watching them pull out bale after bale after bale, and the count went from 160 to 360 to 500, and next thing you know, it's up to 700 plus bales, and 19 and a half or 20 tons of cocaine.
It was a great feeling to know that that stuff wasn't going to reach U.S. soil.
After 102 days at sea, having executed the largest drug bust in Coast Guard history, the Cutter Sherman enters San Francisco Bay. With the amazing view of the Golden Gate Bridge before them, crew members line up on deck to follow the tradition of other sailors that have gone before them.
One of the traditions in the San Francisco Bay Area is to render honors to the Admiral's residence, which is on the south side of Yerba Point Island. As ships enter and leave into Alameda or into the Coast Guard sector at YBI, we man the rails and render proper honors, saluting the Admiral or his residence in his absence. And it has been a tradition in the Bay Area since the house was established in World War II.
The completion of their extended absence brings joy, relief, sadness, and the knowledge that their work is not quite over. The work on their record-breaking drug seizure continues, with the offloading of the bales and the handover to DEA.
It's been a good experience. It's been challenging to me. And I think the thing I like about the Sherman is the people that I work with. A great number of talented individuals on here, and I think that that's what makes Sherman successful.